I was at an open mic this past week, and I had to use the restroom, and like they had like a public restroom to where one was men and one was women's, but it was like single like toilet restrooms to where you could lock the door behind you. And someone was in the men's one for a while, so I just use the women's one because no one's gonna come in here. I won't bother anybody. So I lock the door, and then I notice there's poo on the toilet seat. So I leave, and these women are headed there, and they see me coming, leaving the restroom. I tell them, "Hey, just so you know, there's poo on the toilet seat." And they keep walking. I'm like, "Just so you know, it's not my poo." And then they stop, and I realized I made myself look really guilty. And then they were like, "What were you doing in the women's restroom?" And I was like, "Well, I had to use the restroom, and it's a single restroom, and someone was in the men's restroom taking a poo for too long, so I had to go." And then the girl was like, "I'm just gonna hold it." And then they left. That was embarrassing because like I incriminated myself. I made myself look guilty because I wasn't confident, and I didn't even like do anything. So I'd fail a polygraph test because my heart would be racing because I didn't do anything wrong, but I made myself look guilty. So moral of the story is don't let someone know if there's poo in the restroom because you look guilty and look like a weirdo, and I really weirded them out. Also, like what level of entitlement? You're in the women's restroom. It was a single serve restroom. And honestly, I don't even want to go in the women's restroom again because they had like a cuck chair in the corner. And I'm like, how many germs, like particles in the air, are on that freaking chair? I don't understand why women's restrooms have chairs and benches. It collects so much germs. They should not have those in there. They should all be burned because it just so gross. Well, if we burn them, then they might cause air pollution. And just like the years of just gross particles in the air. Hope you guys aren't eating food. That really wasn't too gross. My threshold for like eating something while watching something gross is like really low. So that would gross me out if I was eating, but most people aren't babies like me. So now let's talk about minimum wage for a little bit. Because minimum wage has been around since 1938 when Theodore Roosevelt put in the Fair Standards Labor Act. And it was to make working conditions for people better. Originally, minimum wage was supposed to be a livable wage, which is not even close to being a livable wage today. But it was supposed to be like a livable wage, and it was also supposed to protect people from having to work long hours for a little pay. So that they could just get like a decent pay and livable wage back then and not have to work like 80 hours for it. And back then, minimum wage was 25 cents. And that was like 90 years ago, close to 90 years ago, I think like 88. And the minimum wage in Ohio now is $11, which has a lot less spending power back then. But now there's also like a lot more like kind of bills though that we have that wasn't around back then, like cell phones, those get expensive. Wi-Fi, they didn't have Wi-Fi back in Teddy Roosevelt's time, so it would have sucked. I love Wi-Fi, I love internet, I love being able to be online. A lot of people say the internet has ruined humanity. I'm like, no, it hasn't. There's a lot of messed up things on there and people bully each other, but that's just human nature. People are going to do that anyway, whether there's internet or not. But you use the internet for so much like cool stuff. Like if you go on YouTube, every make model of a car, you could find out how to do anything like replace a coolant tank, change out the spark plug. So it's a very handy tool. It's just people get distracted by like I don't know the bad stuff. Like a lot of it's turned to like those gossip magazines. Like you see pictures of like celebrities doing something embarrassing. It's just like people are in touch. I remember one of those magazines that were really popular when I was a child in the 2000s, way back when. Minimum wage should be a livable wage, but it is not. $11 an hour for 40 hours, but a lot of minimum wage jobs don't have you 40 hours a week because then they have to like pay extra, I think, in insurance, and they think they might have to actually give you benefits. I'm not too sure on that. But so that's $440 a week without taxes. Times that by month without calling off because there's no sick time because life happens, or getting cut your hours cut. It is $1,760 a month before taxes. And I don't know how much that is after taxes because I'm not that smart. I don't really know how much taxes work. I just assume they take around like 27%. So that's before rent. I mean, then you got to pay like rent and gas and utilities and food, and then you can't really afford too much, like living by yourself on that. You could always get a roommate, and that'd be hard because I'd raise up the price of rent because then you have to get like at least a two bedroom unless you're cool with living in the same room with somebody or one person living in the living room. The average rent in Ohio, though, for a one bedroom is 800 to 1080, which I could go lower or higher, but I think that is a good number to go off by. And then like a two bedroom's like 1,000 to 1,200, which that isn't bad because if you get a roommate, it goes down to like what 5 to 600, which is good. But the thing is, do you want to live with a roommate your whole life? Minimum wage jobs are good if like you're in a couple or your partner has a more higher paying job, not necessarily like a high paid job, but maybe they're making like $15 to $20 an hour, and then you work there to help supplement things. But two people minimum wage, you could probably get it done, but it's just so difficult. I don't know if you could. It's just the system sucks right now, and I probably always has and probably always will. People always say the same tired, like hacky line, minimum skills, minimum wage, and it's like, I don't know. You always say the same thing about how people are like, well, McDonald's for teenagers. Well, if that's the case, then they should be shut down Monday through Friday from like 7 to 4 o'clock because the children are at school. Like that's just like also like crazy. You expect like, yeah, kids, all right, you got off school, now you got to go work for the adults so we could get our Big Macs. Even though I love McDonald's, I talk about McDonald's way too much, but it is good, it's consistent. Companies try to pay you as little as possible. So it's good there's like a small standard of minimum wage so you can go up from there. Because if there's no minimum wage, there'd be a lot of people getting taken advantage of more than there is already, getting exploited for their labor and time. And I believe that everyone that works should be able to support themselves with the money they get. It's not fair that someone can work 40 hours a week and not be able to support themselves. That just doesn't sit right with me. That's not the American dream. That's not what America was about. It's about, I'm not really a patriotic person, but I don't know. Just I wish everyone could live a good life. I know that's not possible and life's not fair, but I've been called naive, but I could hope, I could hope. But yeah, like companies try to pay you as little as possible, like in every position. They try to pay you and take away as much as possible before you leave, and then they might have to give a little bit back to keep people that already left. I think it's not fair too, because a lot of companies they might have a bad year and it's not most of the employees' faults, but then they don't get a raise because the company didn't do great, but then inflation goes up, and I feel like the cost of living goes up and the wages do not even come close to rising. And it was a slow burn throughout like the years, like maybe one year inflation goes up by 5%, but then people's raises only go up 1 to 3% because that is a standard for a lot of places. And companies really do take advantage of people. Like during the pandemic, I've heard of people working where like everyone got their salary cut, but then the company actually ended up making more money, and it actually took them a while through the pandemic to get everyone's wages back. So they got to cut everyone's wages and make even more money and just like steal from the people that are working hard to like run the business and make the CEOs rich. But my takeaway from like the minimum wage jobs is it's maybe, I don't know, try to get a job that pays more than minimum wage. Also, the one thing that's making me less bitter about work is I realized this year, I'm like, a job, the only thing they owe me, because that's what I agreed to, is a paycheck and benefits. And once I realized they don't owe me anything else, it's lifted a weight off my shoulder. And I'm not saying don't work hard, but don't make your whole life about work because there's so much to life than work. And there's so many people that are like, we're not meant to work. We're meant to like live in the woods and garden and hang out. I'm like, that's true. But then people will say that on an iPhone. So there's so many like people and jobs and positions that get you that iPhone. It's like crazy. If you think about it, there's the truck drivers that drive the iPhones and the materials from the factory to the stores or ship them out straight to your house with delivery. There's people that work on those trucks as the drivers. There's the people that load the trucks up. There's people that like operate forklifts and people that work on the forklifts. It's like a never ending chain of like jobs to support just like one thing. And then you have like the people that like work at factories to make the materials and there's like metal in them. So people might have to like mine for different types of metals and just like make metals like metal factories. And like there's plastic and there's like plastic factories. There's people that work at the stores, people that manage the stores. So there's a lot that goes into your iPhone. So I'm not gonna be like one of those people that like, oh, we can't, no one should be working. People like to say that. I feel like it's a very privileged take because that's nice to say, but there'd be like no medicine. We got to keep going through the whole pharmaceutical thing. That's another topic for a whole day. The price gouging. Oh wow, my Uber Eats is here. I'll be right back. Hi, I'm back. I got breakfast. I got some chocolate chip pancakes because I'm a child, but they are good. Yeah, but work sucks. And like I liked most of my jobs, but just like working, it does suck. I do complain about it. But I don't know. We do have to live in a society with people and we all got to do our part and it's, if you, as long as you pay your taxes and try to be a good person, I'm okay with it. I have ADHD. Here's three things I do to make sure I get something done. I don't take a break, I make a list, and I don't look at my phone. Making a list helps me because I can write it down or put it in my head and I can like cross it off. I feel like I accomplished something. And also, I don't look at my phone because I get distracted. Like, so many times it happens where I look on my phone to check the weather and then I'm on TikTok for 10 minutes. I mean, that's how TikTok works. It's supposed to be addicting. But it is like funny how, like, I meant to check and then I put my phone away. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't check the weather. So then I check the weather. It takes like 15 minutes for me to check the weather. By then, the weather has already changed because we're ever moving, ever evolving. I also don't stop having a lot of people with ADHD know this, but if you stop while doing something, you get distracted and you might as well just pack it up. You're done. So this happens to me when I'm like cleaning or cleaning out my car. And like if I stop, I'm like, I'll do it later. And don't end up doing it. Sometimes I do use my ADHD as like laziness, but like, I don't know. I just put things off and I don't know. It sucks having ADHD because no one feels bad for you. I mean, it's not like a crippling disease, but like it does suck. But like also, like I always say stuff like that. They don't feel bad for you, but like the diseases where people feel bad for you is like cancer. I'm like, would I want people to feel bad for me? Would I want cancer? No. Cancer's a bad thing. I mean, I'd have to say that's not like a revolutionary take, but cancer does suck. I hope they do find a cure. There's a lot of conspiracies. Um, People saying that they have the cure for cancer, they still want to give it out. But that doesn't make any sense. Because if they have the cure for cancer, they just charge people a boatload of money for it. You just be an indentured servant at that point. If they have the cure for cancer, like we'll give it to you, but you owe us $5 million or a monthly fee of $50 for the rest of your life and the rest of your children's and grandchildren's life. So I think if they had a cure for cancer, they just wouldn't hoard it. Top five Spike TV shows of all time. Number five, Deadliest Warrior. Number four, MXC. Number three, Blue Mountain State. Number two, Bar Rescue. And number one, the best Spike TV show of all time, A Thousand Ways to Die. Deadliest Warrior was a really good show. I liked it. They'd simulate like 1,000 battles between different warriors. I remember, like I think like the first season, they did like a tournament. I forget what time period it was, but they had like samurais, um, Spartan soldiers, ninjas. It was a really good season. But Deadliest Warriors basically they would like simulate combat between different like warriors that never really fought, but like see who would win. They had different factors like environmental factors and stuff. They also did an episode with Jesse James gang versus Al Capone. And Al Capone won. They also did, I think, the SS soldiers versus the Viet Cong. The Viet Cong won. The Viet Cong won because of like all the traps. They had like the punchy sticks where like it'd be like a trap door where you'd be like walking, and they make it just look like grass, but then you'd fall through on these like bamboo sticks, I think, and they'd impale you. And if they didn't kill you, they literally put like feces on them and it'd give you like a nasty infection, then you die. So, I mean, that's pretty crazy. And on the SS soldiers, they kept saying, like, this isn't about values. We're just seeing who would win. I mean, that's kind of weird, though, to still even do it. They shouldn't have done it at all. Also, Spike TV did have the show for a few episodes called Alternate History, like if the South won the Civil War or if like German Nazis in the 1940s one. That's kind of weird. So I'm glad they got rid of that show. Like, I don't know, I feel like an alternate history show would be like, what if TJ Fridays never existed? Like, that'd be a good show, you know? But not all this like weird stuff, like the bad stuff. Like, what if the show's basically, what if the bad stuff prevailed? So that's not good. MXC, it was a good show. It was a Japanese game show where they do like wild stuff. Like they would, it was almost like a wipeout where they would like kind of like, I remember the one they do a lot is they try to like go like on like a Tarzan rope. I can't even think what you'd call it, but like a rope swing, you try to get over across the other side. That was a good show. I remember watching it as a kid. Um, it had some funny dialogue in it. And then number three, Blue Mountain State. Blue Mountain State was an amazing show. It's basically like a teenage boy's fantasy of what college is like into a show. It was really funny. There's Thad Castle. And he was kind of like the antagonist at the beginning, but then he became like a protagonist, like main character, like who you loved. And he's probably like the best character on the show. He'd like scream and stuff. And like the show, like they'd go to like the parties and like everyone like, oh my god, the football players, like women would just be like throwing themselves at them, and it's just kind of funny because they'd have like hierarchies in the show, like and the football team, like the quarterback and like the offense and the defense, the starters would get like all the women, then the women trickle down all the way down to the like special teams and like people on the bench. So that's kind of funny. And then they'd have rivalries with like the hockey team, and then the quote unquote like nerds would do their homework for them. Otherwise, they'd get beat up. But they're still the good guys in the show, but the nerds were the bad guys, even though they were exploiting them. And I put nerds in quotes because I don't know, nerds in like television movies. I don't know, it's like funny. Like it's cool to be nerdy. It's been cool to be nerdy since the 2010s. But there's so many different types of nerds. Like, I mean, there's people that play sports that are nerds, and there's people that look nerdy that aren't into nerdy things. Like people assume I'm into Star Wars. I'm like, no, they're like, oh, I thought you were. And it's like, no, they're like, oh, you're nerdy. I'm like, well, that doesn't mean anything. Like, quit basing your stereotypes off of like television shows from the 2000s, please. Bar Rescue is a great show. I really enjoyed it as a teenager, and it's still on today. They're still making new episodes. A lot of people's complaints are, is like Bar Rescue comes in and like a lot of the rate for these businesses surviving is low. I'm like, yeah, that's true, but John Taffer, what he does is he gives you a platform, he redoes your whole bar, and then he gives you amazing publicity where people come in for months after. So if you can't like handle that and like if you can't like handle some like success and keep going and push forward with that like push he gives you, then you probably weren't like meant to own a bar anyway. And that's okay. I couldn't be a business owner. I'm not gonna sit here and throw stones at people and then like say I'm all this great person because I couldn't handle it, but not everyone gets to own a bar, unfortunately. I wish everyone could. It's also funny because he just like yells at people. Him and Gordon Ramsay should collab if they haven't already. I don't know if they'd actually get along in real life because John Taffer's really conservative, and I feel like Gordon Ramsay's like liberal. And I just don't think their philosophies of how to treat workers would be the same. Even though Gordon Ramsay like screams at people and like calls them fat and ugly. Um, I feel like he would treat them better. That's just for the shows. Because John Taffer on Fox News, like during the pandemic, that said you got to treat like the staff like hungry dogs. Like you got to make them want to work. And they apologize for that because that's a crazy thing to compare a person trying to make a living to a dog. But the show's still good. It just has a bad outlook on people and workers. Like, workers aren't tools. They're like people that get your business growing. They're not robots who will probably all be replaced by. You'll probably be listening to this podcast by a robot when I'm dead, but that's okay. And finally, the number one, my all-time favorite show. I do think it's the best show. It's called A Thousand Ways to Die. Unfortunately, they did not make it to 1,000, but it's a show about like I forget what the list was called, but they'd find like is it called like the unusual death list, and they'd find these deaths like really unusual. And to make it more interesting, they would make everyone either a sexual deviant or a jerk in the show, where they thought these deaths weren't like creative on their own. They had to ham them up. Like I remember the one guy who was a drunk construction worker and he was like alone on the site and he parked his steamroller on a hill and he forgot to put the parking brake on and he went in the urinal or the urinal went in the porta john and then as he was in the porta john the steamroller like ran him over and killed him, like flattened him. And they always have like a scientist on the show to explain it. And it's so funny when the scientist explains like the ones where like they clearly died of like how they died or why they died. Like some will get like blown up to a million pieces. So I have to go on there and be like, well, they died because their heart and brain stopped working. There was one where a guy was like attracted to cows and he put like a cow heart or something hooked up to a car battery and made love to it and died because he got shocked. There's another one too where a guy peed on an electric fence and like the electric fence, like the current went all the way up his Johnson until like his heart made his heart stop. It was a very interesting show. I liked it a lot. Um, it's very cheesy. It's narrated by Ron Perlman. I went back and watched it. It's like really cheesy, but I do miss it. It was a good show, though. I like it. I'm like one of those people that like likes reboots only if it's something I want. Like I'd really like them to reboot that show and then make it to like 1,000, or name it 1,001 deaths, or 1,001 ways to die. It's a really good show. They also too did the Jack Daniels one where I went to Lynchburg, Tennessee. I did see the safe where Jack Daniels got mad and kicked, and he got a nasty toe infection, foot infection, and died. So that was pretty cool. I got to see a show. I got to see it in real life. Jack Daniels is actually a really small operation. Jack Daniels is smart because the county Jack Daniels in is a dry county, except for you can go and taste test stuff at Jack Daniels. I think that's smart because it makes it a tourist destination, but also so many like bars would pop up in that area, and I think they want to keep it more rural. But yeah, if you ever get a chance to go, if you don't like alcohol, it's a cool place to go. The Jack Daniels, a tour in Tennessee. That's very fun. Hey, I really appreciate you listening to this. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel or Spotify. Give me a like, follow, and share some of my content if you can. If you can't, I understand. I don't want to mess up your algorithm. If you don't, I don't want to mess up your algorithm. But if you give me a chance, thank you. I really appreciate it. Or just comment on one of my like shorts or posts. It really helps. And I really appreciate you guys listening, and I really enjoy doing this. And honestly, if you want to message me privately and want to hear me talk about a topic, I would love that. Or comment, be like, "Oh, you should talk about this," and maybe I will. Maybe I will. I probably will because I love you guys. I'm a people pleaser. But thank you so much. I love you. Have a great day.